One on crossbeam's gone out askew on treadle.
Pardon?
One on crossbeam's gone out askew on treadle.
I don't understand what you're saying.
One of the crossbeams has gone out askew on the treadle.
But what on earth does that mean?
I don't know. Mr. Wentworth just told me to come in here and say that there was trouble at the mill, that's all. I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a guide for Castille in EU4 1.35. But before this video begins, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Did you know there's only about a 17% chance if you're subscribed, you're still watching my videos, so do us both a favor and subscribe to the channel. With that out of the way, let's jump into Castille. Castille is the most powerful nation in Iberia and has actually been completely overhauled in EU4 1.35 with a brand new mission tree alongside some brand new army units as well as some very other new things that it can definitely do. I think it also has some updated ideas as well. Suffice to say, Castille is very powerful. Castille was always very powerful, however, I will say that it's become a bit more difficult now, as you now have this privilege here, the faction stability, as well as a couple new civil wars, namely the Infantes of Aragon disaster, which makes Castille a little bit harder, but in this guide I will show you how to navigate these disasters easily, and I will show you how to get rid of this privilege, among many other things. However, before we can do all that, it's time to set up our estates. For the clergy, you want to give out clerical education, religious diplomats, and religious state. For the nobility, you want to give out increased levies, primacy of the nobility. For the burghers, you want to give out land of commerce, not patrons of the arts just yet, and I'll show you why, private trade fleets, and indebted to the burghers. Again, we are not going to give out patrons of the arts, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Another thing you want to do is disinherit Enrique. Enrique is absolutely terrible, so make sure you go ahead and disinherit him. You are going to lose 50 prestige from this action, which is not good. However, the reason I told you to avoid giving out patrons of the arts to the burghers right off the bat is because now you want to give it out after you've lost all the stability. So instead of getting just the 15, we now get the 25. Very nice. Now it is time to get our advisors. For your advisors, you want to get ideally a stab cost guy for your admin advisor, and the reason you want to do that is because we are going to be losing a lot of stability. I have one here, so I'm going to go ahead and take him. For your Diplo guy, ideally an improved relations or Diplo rep. I have a Diplo rep guy, but he's only level 2, so I'm going to take this guy right here. And for your mill advisor, ideally you want a discipline or morale of armies. I have discipline guy, but unfortunately he's level 2, so I'm just going to go ahead and take this fort defense guy. And don't forget to summon the diet and choose whichever agenda is best for you. I'm going to choose this agenda right here since we want to ally the Pope. And don't forget to seize land. And after doing our estates, it is time to pick our allies. Now, the ally situation for Castille to start the game varies greatly from game to game. So just know that the allies that I show you here will likely probably not be the same as the ones that you get in your game. However, what you should do is first start improving with Austria. Austria is an ally that we want to have as soon as possible, and I can actually go ahead and ally them right off the bat, which is very nice. The next ally that you ideally would like to have is Burgundy, and the reason you want to ally Burgundy is so that you can royal marry them and get the Burgundian inheritance. Unfortunately, Burgundy has actually not just rivaled me, but they made me their enemy, so I can't ally them. Don't worry if this happens in your game. You don't need Burgundy to succeed as Castille. You can function perfectly fine without Burgundy, and honestly, it might be slightly better for newer players, since newer players might struggle to fight the Austrians in the Burgundian inheritance, which if you get the Burgundian inheritance, that's what you're going to fight. However, if Burgundy rivals you, then you aren't able to royal marry them. So don't worry if they do. And your next ally could ideally be Aragon. Aragon does like to rival you. Sometimes I've noticed that, especially in this new patch, the AI Aragon loves to rival the AI Castille. If that happens, don't worry, you're going to get Aragon as a personal union subject anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether you're allied with him or not, although it is quite nice. So go ahead and ally Austria, which I will do once the month ticks over, and ally the Pope. These are your two starting allies that you want to have, at least Austria and the Pope, not Portugal. We're going to PU Portugal. If you really want to, you can. However, you're going to have to break that alliance anyway. So for your starting two allies, make sure it is Austria and the Pope. Oh, and I forgot to mention, another ally that you want to have is Navarre, as we want to go ahead and vassalize Navarre. However, you need to have at least 190 relations with them, or they need to have 190 relations with you. So just go ahead and ally them, royal marry them, give them military access and whatever, and wait until you can offer vassalization. And a couple of months actually ticked by, and Burgundy removed their rivalry with me, which is actually really nice to see. So I'm going to go ahead and royal marry them. This may or may not happen in your game. However, whether you are able to royal marry Burgundy at the very start of the game or whether you have to wait a few months, what you need to do is you need to be the one who sends the royal marriage to Burgundy first. Do not accept the AI royal marriage that pops up here where you see the crown with the rings. Do not accept that because that is the AI offering a marriage to you. And the reason I'm telling you not to do that is because when the ruler dies, when the AI ruler dies, that royal marriage is broken. So when Charles here has a halberd put through his skull by the Swiss, you will have your royal marriage with Burgundy broken, and you don't want that. So instead, go ahead and send the royal marriage on your own. Send it from here. Do not accept the AI royal marriage, or else when Charles meets his fate against the Swiss, you will have the royal marriage broken. Oh, and I didn't show this, but these are who you want to rival. You want to rival England, Morocco, and France. The reason you want to rival France is they're going to rival you anyway. They tend to not like you, especially as the game progresses. Also, we want to maintain our alliance with Austria, and having France as a rival along with Austria will definitely help out our relations. And like I mentioned at the start of the game, this disaster here, the Infantes of Aragon, is going to kick up no matter what is going to happen. There's absolutely no way to stop it, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to stop it once it fires. However, for now, it is time to start working on our mission tree. This is a brand new, amazing mission tree, I might add, that has been revamped in 1.35. Now, the first thing you want to do is prepare for the Reconquista, and the way you do that is you just get your total navy and your total army 100% the size of the force limit. So what you can go ahead and do is you can go ahead and build some light ships here, and you can build some galleys right there. As you can see, we've already surpassed our force limit. And then when it comes to your armies right here, you can go ahead and just keep the armies that you have right there. And you can go ahead and hire some of these mercenary companies here, whichever ones are the cheapest. I'm going to hire these guys right here, and we're almost there. We just need to hire some other units, and once we get that, we will go ahead and get some claims on this part right here so that we can complete the Reconquista. And once this disaster fires the Infantes of Aragon, you are going to get this option here. You have two options called We Stand with the King or The Infantes Are Right. Basically, this will make you not lose stability. However, this will lead to greater problems down the line. Also, you will not be able to take the personal union over Aragon if you select the bottom option, so do not take this option. Instead, select the top option here, right here, where you unfortunately lose one stability and you get quite a few rebels. However, you will be able to take the PU over Aragon, and these rebels are honestly not that bad. Just go ahead and let them rise up, see where they spawn, and just send your armies to defeat them. In order to end the Infantes of Aragon disaster, there really is no set amount of rebels that you have to defeat or anything like it is with other disasters in EU4. Instead, you just need to stab up to stab 0, and there you go. It is now over. We get legitimacy, some manpower, and the estates lose some land. Very, very nice. And once you have 100% of the Navy force limit and 100% of the Army force limit, you can complete this mission called Prepare the Reconquista. It'll give you claims on the bottom half right here on all of Granada. And once you can afford it, make sure that you stab up to stab 1. The reason you want to do that is because we want to complete this mission called the Infantes of Aragon. It'll basically give you some extra mana powers and things like that. A really, really good mission, but it's also just an essential mission, as without it, we cannot progress. Also, by doing this, we have actually stopped the Castilian Civil War, so definitely go ahead and do this mission as soon as possible if you don't want to fight the Castilian Civil War. It can still come later down the line, which is something that you need to watch out for. However, we have stopped it for the time being. And now it is time to declare your first war. That war is going to be against Granada. We are finally going to finish the Reconquista. Granada is typically not allied to anyone big. Most of the time, they are only ever going to be allied to Morocco and Tunis. Occasionally, they can ally the Ottomans. However, that happens, just restart. It's not worth it. But in my game and in most games, they are just going to be allied to either Morocco or Tunis or both. So go ahead and declare on them. They'll probably be having some rebels by this point. These are the Rise of the Pretenders here. So just go ahead and declare on Granada. And so for your peace deal with Granada, what you want to go ahead and do is just do full annexation, see if you can take all their money. This war is not hard. You basically have to just siege down all of Granada, which is not hard at all. You will probably have to siege a fort in Morocco, but once you're able to do that, you just go ahead and fully annex them. And once you fully annex Granada, you can complete this mission called Reclaim Andalusia, where you get two options: expel the Granadan Moriscos, or you can mend the wounds. This one here, you gain papal influence, but you lose stab. But what it does here is it actually converts all of these Muslim provinces, whereas this one keeps them Muslim, but you gain some stability, and the Pope doesn't like you. So I recommend taking the top option. The papal influence is really nice. Unfortunately, you will lose the stability, but turning everything down here to Catholic instantly is definitely worth it. And there you go. Now it is all Catholic. Oh yeah, and if this starts ticking up like it is in my game, just stab right back up. You will be falling behind on admin tech, as I'm sure you probably already figure out. We're going to be coring a lot of stuff and stabbing up. I think I've probably stabbed up at least 3 or 4 times already, and it's barely 1452. So just do keep that in mind. And once the Pope likes you and you have at least 50 papal influence, you can complete this mission called Holy See Politics. Every province with a cardinal will actually gain 1 tax bill, which is really nice. In our case, it's actually our capital, and we'll also gain another cardinal. So that is really nice. For your tier 2 government reform as Castile, I recommend taking Compromise with Nobility or curtail noble privileges. The strengthen noble privileges is no longer worth it, especially for Castile, as one of our missions is actually this: reinforce royal authority, where you basically need to have the nobility loyalty 6 year greater and have at least 40% land crown. So in order to do this, we don't want to be giving out the strengthen noble privileges. Either take curtail noble privileges or instead take compromise with the nobility, which basically says here that increased levies a state privilege no longer increase influence and no longer absolute. So you're basically getting the extra manpower, which in our case is 29% for free, essentially. So go ahead and take compromise with the nobility. At some point in the game, you are going to get this pop-up called Isabella of Castile. You can either put the throne is hers, or you can get a ton of admin points, diplo points, and mil points. I recommend taking the top one. She is honestly an amazing ruler, 563, and she's only 5. So go ahead and take it. And by this point in the game, it is time to declare your next war. Ideally, you want to be declaring your next war on whoever owns these provinces here. In my game, it is Portugal, who owns a majority of the provinces down here, and Morocco is actually very small. They became very small because they're stupid. Now, if like in my game, Portugal owns a majority of the provinces down here, you don't really need to take it because you're going to get Portugal as a personal union subject very soon anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The extra aggressive expansion and bloodshed and everything really is not worth it. So I would recommend just attacking Morocco. Ideally, you would own all of these provinces here, so just go ahead and attack whoever you can. In my case, it's Morocco. And for your peace deal with Morocco, I would say to fully annex them. However, Morocco actually has some fantastic cores here. Look at this. Morocco is only 2 provinces, but they have all of these cores here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am actually going to vassalize Morocco. I am going to, of course, take these provinces here for myself, then just go ahead and fully release them. The AE is basically the same. It was, what, 25 to take these 2? Yep, and then go ahead and it's here. Actually less, so I'll go ahead and actually this one right here. I'll go ahead and 21 AE and take them a vassal and take all of their money. And by this point in the game, although typically closer to the 1480s, Charles was actually really young. He was only in his late 20s. He died when he was about 30 in my game, so it's typically going to be around the 1480s or even 1490s in some cases. You will get the Burgundian inheritance. It's almost guaranteed that you get the Burgundian inheritance. As Castiles, you're typically the most powerful country that they're royal married to, so they'll almost always select you. If you want to increase your chances, of course, make sure that you send them the royal marriage. Don't accept the one that the AI sends you. And also, just keep improving relations. So go ahead and accept it here. And by this point in the game, even if you were lucky at the very start of the game, you will inevitably get Castile Civil War. Now you have two options here. You can support Isabel or whoever yours is, or you can support the Aragonese candidate. Of course, you want to support Isabel. You lose some legitimacy. You do have quite a few penders. However, don't worry about this. And shortly after getting the Burgundian inheritance, you will get this event here called the Emperor Demands Low Countries, where basically the Emperor, that being Austria, asks you to release Low Countries, so Holland, Brabant, up here. Now you can, however, if you want to keep all of these areas, which we'll have to deal with them trying to break free later, select this bottom one. Honestly, I'd recommend selecting the bottom option right here. However, before you do, go ahead and ally a bunch of people. So you are going to lose your alliance with Austria, unfortunately. However, as Castile, you're able to ally pretty much everyone, so go ahead and just ally a bunch of just random little people, just so that they can help you out in this war. One thing I didn't mention is that you will be the defender in this war. The Austrians will be the aggressor, you will be the defender, so you'll be able to call in most of these allies. Sometimes these allies won't accept, however, a majority of the time in a defensive call to arms, the AI will accept. So just go ahead and just ally a bunch of random little people. Don't Royal Marry any of them, obviously, and then select all of Bergen's ours. And there we go. Some people have declared the call to arms. As you can see, some of the people here, the Papal State declared the call to arms, which is actually the only one who declared the call to arms. It's really nice to see. And we just have Austria and some of their allies here. As you can see, we greatly outnumber the Austrians. So just go ahead and let the AI do most of the heavy lifting and just protect your lands. And once you have stability of at least 1, you can end the Castilian Civil War. It'll actually give you some additional stability. So I'm going to go ahead and stab up one more time. And there we go. Now we are at +3 stab. Very easy thing to navigate. Your armies stab up to at least stab 1, and you should be fine. For your peace deal with Austria when you fight this war, honestly, I'm just going to take some money with them. If you're struggling to fight them for whatever reason and you're kind of just on the brink, a white peace will do. So just go ahead and take something like this, do a white peace, get some money, and that's it. Now, as you can see, we still have Burgundy and have the lowlands. And there we go. Now we're friends again, Austria, like nothing ever happened. Oh, and you can also dissolve all these random alliances. You will get this event where you have two options. Let us bind their dynasty to ours, or no, let us marry a... Instead, of course, you won't take this one right here. So, of course, always take the top one. And once you have Aragon as a junior partner, you can complete this mission called Claims in Aragon. So if you do have an alliance with Portugal, now is the time to break it and then take that mission. If you followed this guide exactly and you didn't ally Portugal or Naples, then of course you just go ahead and take this right now, like I'm going to take. And now it is time to declare your war against either Portugal or Naples. In my case, both of them are honestly easier. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and declare in Portugal. So go ahead and do the Restoration of Union CB on whichever nation we're attacking and crush them. For your first idea group as Castile, you of course go ahead and take exploration ideas or your first idea as Castile. For your tier 3 government reform as Castile, honestly there's quite a few good ones here. Expanded Royal Court is always my favorite just because of the reform progress growth. Unfortunately, the estate influence modifier is not the best, however it is only 5%. So I think in this case, even though we are trying to reduce the influence of the nobility for this mission, however, if you don't feel like you want to do that, then Royal Favorites honestly not bad, especially in this instance. However, there is this one, which is normally not available for us. It is Exile Colonial Companies here, where basically it's enabled because we have exploration ideas, and it gives some extra settler chance and some expel minorities cost, which is always really nice. Honestly, though, I'd recommend it still taking Expanded Port. And so for your peace deal with Portugal, of course, what you want to go ahead and is just Portugal. You can go ahead and take all of their money, and once you recover Portugal, you can complete this mission called Recover Portugal. And once you reclaim Andalusia, you can complete this mission called Completing the Reconquista. If you want, you could wait to take this right until you declare the war. That's probably what I'm going to do. We're really not going to be attacking into here just yet. I'm going to wait until I get my next PU in Europe. However, the other mission that you can take is also the Crown of Austria once you fulfill these requirements right here. Again, this is not one you want to take just yet. I'm going to wait after I do my PU war with Naples. And now it is time to declare your next war. This war is going to be a PU war. So if you declared on Naples first, then of course you attack Portugal for the Restoration of Union CB. Typically, Naples will not really be allied to anyone big. Occasionally, they might ally Austria or France or something, which if that happens, again, you can just use the Austrians to help out. If they're allied to Austria, unfortunately, you're probably out of luck with that, or maybe you can fight them together. It really is up to you. However, in my game, they're allied essentially no one, and the Pope would actually help me, so I'm going to go ahead and attack. For your first Splendor ability, as Castile, honestly, you can either take the higher developed colonies, or you can take the Justified Wars. This one is honestly not as good as it used to be, so I recommend taking Justified Wars. And the Pope actually lost, I think, a couple provinces, 1 or 2 provinces, which this is actually a 4D chess move that you can play. If you want your new PU of Naples to have more provinces and the Papal States is weak, you can actually call in the Pope, let the Pope get sieged down and lose and peace out, and your new PU could actually have an extra province, or like in mine, as you can see here, they actually got an extra 2 provinces right here, which is really, really nice. I didn't plan on that, but that's definitely something that you can do if you want your PU to be stronger, but you don't want to sacrifice your alliance with the Pope. So you can go ahead and do something like that if you. However, regardless of what happens, make sure that you take the union with Naples and all of their money. And by this point in the game, your nation should look like this. Of course, you still have pretty much most of the same province that you started with. However, look how massive we are. We have the personal unions of Portugal, Aragon, Burgundy, Naples, and we'll very soon have Austria once we go ahead and complete. You want to wait at least a couple of years just for the AE to die down. Also, you are going to want to build up a substantial money, manpower, and stuff like that. But if the Austrians really aren't allied to anyone big, which typically the biggest person that they're going to be allied is you are able to take them on with absolutely no problem whatsoever. So definitely make sure ahead and do this Crown of Austria mission as soon as possible. For our first idea group as Castile, we took exploration ideas. For your second idea, of course, you would take the good old-fashioned expansion. The exploration and expansion ideas is just an absolute essential. For your third idea group, I'd recommend a military idea group, so either offensive or quality. You don't need quantity ideas or anything like that. We really have not struggled with manpower at all as Castile, so I'd honestly recommend either offensive, quality. It really is up to you. And for your fourth idea group, I'd recommend something either like economic or trade. And for your 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th idea groups, as always, it's up to you and how your is progressing. This is what we took for our first 3 tiers of our government reforms. For tier 4, I recommend taking, honestly, probably something either like maintain balance of power. The extra diplomat is really nice, or you can go ahead and take lands for the church or expand temple rights. For tier 5, I recommend either organized military staff, military engineering, or sustained discipline. I do think that organized military staff is still slightly better. For tier 6, I recommend taking general state. For tier 7, I recommend taking meritocratic recruitment. For tier 8, I recommend taking exploitation of the new world. That plus 10% goods produce is absolutely insane. Plus that extra colonist is really cool, and you're going to be unlocking this anyway with the exploration and expansion idea groups respectively. And for tier 9, I recommend taking this one right here. For tier 10, L'État c'est moi, or Divine Rights. And for tier 11, Right Edition. This has been a guide for the nation of Castile in EU4 1.35. Let me know what other nation I should cover in the comments below. But wait, before you leave, don't forget to click the link in the description down below and join the Discord. The Discord is the best place to talk with me and talk with other fellow EU4 players. We also play other games. We play Hearts of Iron 4, we play CK2, CK3, Victoria. Along with that, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.